Okay, so you're sitting here watching this one because you want to know how to raise your credit score. Now you're sitting here watching me saying, Khash, are you a credit repair expert? Well, I'm not a credit repair company, I can tell you that one. And there's a lot of great credit repair companies out there. But before I get into all that, I want to start with this. Click the like button, it helps me out. Subscribe to my YouTube page. I'm working, I'm building out my YouTube page. And hopefully check out my other videos on this page, because the truth of the matter is that I have hundreds of videos over buying a home, and even just being successful at what you do, whatever it is you're looking to do. This video today is how to be successful raising your credit score. I'm going to give you a couple tips, a couple pointers. I'm not going to give you any tricks. There's no tricks to it, okay? So hopefully you're following along. And lastly, comment, ask me questions. Put your comments in there, shoot a question over. I always respond to every single comment that people have. A lot of people like instant message me, which is fine, but commenting on my YouTube page is actually more preferred, I suppose, to an extent, but you can message me however you want. So we get this show going, okay? This is how to raise a credit score. Especially, like, I'm doing this video too. If I just got done talking to you, a lot of people I send these videos to, I have a video on calculating debt to income ratio. And I've had customers who have struggled with their debt to income ratio on a loan. And I will shoot them that video and say, watch this video. And they watch the video and say, holy smokes, there, okay? So instead of me just talking to you on the phone for 20 minutes and explaining it, I'll shoot you this video too. So you may have just spoken to me and I said, hey, watch this video on it. This is how to raise your credit score, okay? So let's start with this, the credit score itself. Let's start with the basics of this, okay? There's 3 credit bureaus in the United States. There's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And you'll notice this too, by the way. When I'm trying to get a point across, I slow everything down, and you're seeing saying, oh my God, like the guy just became boring all of a sudden. But then when he's all excited, he's like, oh my God, like let's get this done. Okay, we got to move on this thing. Because by the way, raising your credit score doesn't come for free, and it sure don't come easy, okay? So you got to work on this stuff and get it going. But I want to make sure you understand what I'm talking about. So it begins with this, and you should be writing this stuff down at home. If you don't write any of this down, it's not going to help you as much, okay? So 3 credit bureaus in the United States: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. There's 3 credit bureaus in the United States, and that's all there is, okay? Credit scoring was invented and created, well, it was created by the Fair Isaac Corporation back in the 1950s, okay? Earl Isaac and, I forget the name of the other, like all of a sudden I'm forgetting some of this information, okay? I shouldn't. But nonetheless, it was invented by 2 individuals, a mathematician and an accountant, back in the 1950s. It was adopted for mortgage lending by Fannie Mae in the late 80s, early 90s, and ever since then, it's like the holy grail of the mortgage lending industry. It's what we do. Now, there's a lot of websites out there that you will go to, and I use Credit Karma the most because it's so, and kudos to Credit Karma, and I will tell you this. I have videos on, is Credit Karma good? If your alternative is nothing, Credit Karma is the greatest thing on the planet Earth, okay? Doing something is better than nothing, okay? But what I will tell you is don't put your stock in the credit score that Credit Karma gives you, that Experian.com gives you. Any website you go to as a consumer to get your quote unquote score is going to be different than when a mortgage lender pulls. Now, if you come to me and I pull your credit, the score that I get is the same score you're going to get if you call Rocket Mortgage or something like that. But God knows you're not calling them because you're calling me, okay? But within the mortgage industry, it's going to be a consistent score. But when you look at your Credit Karma and say, Khash, Credit Karma has me at 702, I'm good. No, you are not good, okay? No, you're not, okay? And you have to understand how a lot of those applications work. Applications like Credit Karma, they pay for, people like me have to pay money to advertise on Credit Karma. A company such as Credit Karma will come to someone like me and say, hey, Khash, we have 100,000 people a month logging in and checking their scores on Credit Karma. And by the way, you do mortgages, and you know what? We will let you advertise for mortgages on our website page. You just have to pay us $20,000 or whatever it is. So I'm going to pay money. So naturally, are more people going to log into their Credit Karma score if the score is showing them 497, or more people going to log in if it's showing them 705? Are more people going to log in if it pings them? Like they just made a payment to their credit card and then they get a little ding on their phone that says your score jumped 50 points? Or are they going to get more people logging in if they paid something off and it says your score didn't change any, okay? So a lot of that stuff is just simple marketing, and that's just the reality of the situation. So don't always jump on that stuff when you say Credit Karma says my score jumped, okay? Understanding first what you're working with. We've got 3 credit bureaus. Understand the 3 bureaus. By the way, there's 4 websites I give everybody. You need to go to one of these 4 websites and you need to use them. Equifax.com, Experian.com, TransUnion.com, and myfico.com. MyFICO, MyFICO, myfico.com. That's the website of the Fair Isaac Corporation. I love that one personally, but use any one you want. Now again, you could use Credit Karma, you could use anyone you want. Those are just the 4 that I recommend. I mean, for goodness sake, those are the ones that house all of the data and have the information we're looking for, okay? What you want to do, so if you were just told by somebody you don't have the score to qualify, this is step 1. Step 1 is to go to one of those websites and get your hands on a copy of your credit. You need to have a copy of all 3 credit bureaus in front of you. That's why I started this video with 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. If we are to raise our score, we must start with having those 3 bureaus in our hands. Step 1 is get your hands on your credit. Step 2 is start with the negative items, all of the collections. We want to raise your score, okay? The fastest way to raise your score is to remove negative items, okay? It's to remove negative items. That's the fastest way to raise your score. So what you want to do, you want to call these collections that you have against you, call these collection companies. You want to talk to somebody there and you want to ask them, and you want to write this down. Just ask it specifically. If I pay this off, can you give me a letter to delete this from my credit? Now, there's a federal law out there called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, okay? The problem is they're not obligated to remove it from your credit. They are obligated to update the credit and report correctly and accurately to the credit bureau. That's what they must do. A lot of people think when they pay a credit collection off, they think that it comes off of their credit. It does not come off of your credit. In order to remove it from your credit, because we're talking about raising your credit score, you want the fastest way to raise your score, remove negative items from your credit. How do you do that? Step 1, you get your hands on your credit. Next step, you call every single one of these places sitting at your kitchen table with a pen in one hand, paper in another, and you say, will you remove it? If you've got 10 collections against your credit, you call each one sitting at your table. Now keep in mind too, this is also negotiating with them. Talk to them, interact with them, ask them questions, tell them the validated, send you the official bill, cross-reference it with what you know the truth to be. Like, you got to work on this stuff. It's not easy, okay? So when you call them, write down, if you got 10 collections, you might end up saying, Khash, I called all 10 of them and not one of them will remove it from my credit. That's fine, okay? We will get to the upcoming steps to keep moving forward. But if out of 10 of them, 2 of them will remove it, you write down will remove, will remove. Then on the other 8, you write down will not remove, okay? You write this stuff down. The next step, get the ones paid off and get the letters to remove it from your credit for those that will provide the letter. I will tell you this, 9 times out of 10, it's almost impossible to get the letter. It's not easy to get that letter. It's not that simple. And at the same time, most companies won't give it to you, okay? They do not have to remove it from your credit. I can't say that stuff enough, okay? But keep in mind, whatever you can get removed, get it removed. I'll give you a quick example. It also tells you, I guess, how old I am to an extent. I remember in September of 2012, there was a gentleman who went to 5 different mortgage companies. They all declined him. At the time, his credit score was 529, okay? I pulled his credit. I saw that he had 11 medical collections on his credit. A lot of times, the medical collection companies will take that stuff off of your credit. So you have a really good shot with those. But it's not every time, and I'm not saying it's a guarantee or that they have to do it, but it happened for him. He was also an authorized user on someone else's credit card. That was a collection against him. I told him, I know this collection company, if you call them and pay them in full and ask them for a letter to delete, they will give you that letter. He got 11 letters to delete that from his credit. He also called, I think at the time it was Bank of America, MBNA. Well, MBNA was bought out by Bank of America. It was a credit card. He called them and said, I want to be removed as an authorized user from that account. He got a letter from them that said you are removed as an authorized user. We took all of those letters, sent them into the bureau. In 7 days, he had all of those taken off. He had 12 negative accounts removed from his credit. He went from 529 to 660 in 7 days by removing negative items from his credit. So you want to get the letters to remove. If you cannot get them removed, you want to get letters that say to update them that the balance is zero. Now here's a catch. When you update a collection that the balance is zero, it might initially lower your credit score. It does not always raise your score because you are deleting negative information, okay? But you got to get that thing paid. You got to get it updated. If you never get it updated, nothing's ever going to happen to it. You've got to get it addressed. You start with the collections. Try to get them removed, get them updated. Between both of those techniques, it's going to cost you money. You're going to have to pay money to them. 9 times out of 10, the companies who will give you the letter to remove, they want to get paid in full. So in order to remove it, a lot of companies will say you have to pay that in full. If you're not going to pay, if they're not going to remove it from you, I tell people negotiate it down, settle it for as little as you can, talk to them, talk about it, see how you can work that, okay? The next step are your credit cards, the current credit cards that you have, because this video is on how to raise your credit score. Step 1 is to get your hands on your credit. Step 2 is to get the negative items removed. Step 3 is to get the negative items updated. Step 4 is to pay off all of your credit cards. Now, I didn't say stop using your credit cards, but pay them off. A very big factor into the equation into determining your credit score are your credit card balances relative to your credit card limits, okay? So you want to keep those balances down. I've had some people say, Khash, is it good to keep a small balance on all my credit cards? Listen, man, I'm just going to tell you this one. Because again, I'm not a credit repair company. I'm not the credit bureau or something like that. I'm just a guy that's done mortgage loans for 23 years now, and I look at credit every single day, okay? I've lived in credit 7 days a week for 23 years. I'm telling you this right now. Pay all the credit cards off. Use them at the gas station, at the grocery store. Pay them off immediately. At the end of the day, debt is bad. You want to pay that stuff off. If you don't have any credit cards, I tell people to go to www.creditcards.com, go to a website such as that. Look into opening up a few credit cards. Credit cards are good to have. People overspend, overcharge, and buy things that they shouldn't. But at the end of the day, credit cards are extremely good to have. So you want to have credit cards. You want to have them paid. The last step to getting your credit score up, now this isn't that fun. It's paying all of your bills on time for an extended period of time. Can you pay everything in your life on time for the next 1 to 2 to 3 years? These are the steps it takes to raise your credit score. If you can get items removed, your score goes up immediately. If you just got declined for financing, you might be sitting here saying, man, I just got declined for financing. You know what? If I can get 10 of them removed or 5 or 2 of them removed, there's a chance that score goes up immediately and I could jump right back into getting pre-approved to buy a home immediately. For some people out there, it might take you a year, it might take you 2 years. You might have to go bankrupt. Sometimes bankruptcy is not a bad option to clear everything up. So there's a lot of different steps. These are the steps to raise your credit score. They're not fun, they're not easy, they take time. You've got to follow the steps. You've got to sit down at least once a week, tighten up your belt, make some disciplined decisions, and make a commitment to fixing something that has not been committed, as much in the past as it should have been. So on that note, these are the steps to take. I have a lot of other videos on my website showing you other steps involved in credit or even talk about the history of credit. So if you have questions on that one, put a comment in there, give me a call directly. I'm easy to get a hold of. Like this video, comment on it, share with your friends, subscribe to the video, and hopefully you catch my upcoming videos on other similar topics on that one, and we'll see you around.